Well, good evening and thank you for trusting WRBL News 3. I'm Hannah James. Piedmont Columbus Regional has already began pre-construction for the expansion and renovation of their intensive care unit. Now, as you can see behind me, the entire intersection is closed off. At this time, there are no evidence markers on the ground, and about 5 Columbus Police Department units are still on the scene processing this investigation. And Columbus Police tell me that this facility will remain closed throughout the rest of the day as the search warrant continues to be executed. Now, if you remember, Sergeant Nicholas mentioned Robinson was tied to the murder of Collins with a 9mm Glock. That same gun was used in an aggravated assault and car theft that happened 48 hours before the murder of Collins.
Mayor Tibbs wants to remind everyone, stay indoors. Have that plan of action in place with your family with that safe spot, and make sure to monitor your weather radios as the weather will continue to roll through this area.
Where one of our very own is being celebrated for nearly 4 decades of journalistic accomplishments. We're talking about the person that normally sits in this seat at this hour, co-anchor Teresa Whitaker. Now, they told me that the company conducted an occupancy verification on April the 17th, and they assumed that whenever they knocked on the door, they saw the dogs in the window and the trash on the front of the house. They assumed that the tenant was still living there and it had not been vacated yet. Well, we have a couple of updates for you this morning. First, WRBL continues to follow the investigation into Columbus Animal Care and Control. That will be coming up first, and then after that, we're going to recap some crime from the weekend, and then following that, we'll take you back to political news, and then you will actually be on my show after that.
How would you plead to that? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Monday, 23-year-old Javon Hatchett, a black man, entered a guilty plea in the September 2020 jailhouse murder of his cellmate, Eddie Nelson Jr., a white man.
Mr. Hatchett murdered his cellmate, Mr. Eddie Nelson, through manual strangulation. He murdered Mr. Nelson with his bare hands.
Superior Court Judge John Martin sentenced Hatchett to life with the possibility of parole. Under Georgia law, you must serve at least 30 years.
Our community continues to be plagued by violence and murders. For persons to understand that if you behave like this, and that there are serious consequences, and we are here today to, as I indicated, this is how we resolve disputes in this country, and I think the message needs to go out that if there is behavior like this that's completely unjustified, that there are serious consequences to it.
Point being, this was a heinous crime. He took another man's life, and honestly, it really doesn't matter why. We're glad to see him go away for life.
Meet Carla Humphrey, a mother, grandmother, wife, quilter, breast cancer survivor, and remarkable woman. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018.
What was it like when you first were diagnosed?
Very scary. I was by myself standing there at my sewing table, and I was home alone, and I said, my doctor just called me and said, "Did you know you have breast cancer?" And I said, "No." "So what do I do next?" And he said, "Well, we call a surgeon."
What got her through the appointments and decisions that followed her faith, family, and quilting.
I have to say my faith, my family. When they heard about it, they all came home. My husband was out of town, but he rushed on home, and I made myself a quilt, and I had sayings on it that said, "You can do this, girl," and put scripture and that kind of thing, and that was very helpful. I still have that.
During her treatment, Humphrey's church family made her a quilt as well, and she received care packages from the community. This inspired her to start a sewing circle, Sew Up Cancer, where women came together to make care packages, quilts, and seasonal gifts to share with local cancer patients undergoing treatment at the Spencer Cancer Center in Opelika.
I wanted to do something for other people to encourage them to get their mammogram, because my mammogram probably saved my life. I didn't have any of the other signs, no history in the family. It was the mammogram that showed a little spot.
Sew Up Cancer was in operation until COVID hit. With the looming threat of COVID and mutating variants, now Humphrey and her close friend Mary Patterson continue to spread support, love, and quality homemade gifts to patients.
It's just something that I want to do. It's not something I'm doing to get a prize or anything. It's just what you do.
To those women going through a treatment or have just been diagnosed with breast cancer, Humphrey shares the following advice.
Hang in there and don't give up. It doesn't matter which stage you are, there is always hope. God created the world, He can do anything. So keep up the prayers. That's the best medicine.
What we know right now is that this shelter behind me displaced 6 veterans. Now, its doors were shut by the Veterans Affairs Office. They left yesterday morning, and they have yet to make it to their final destination. Welcome to Safe Landing, Home for Veterans, a shelter for homeless vets that has been in operation for 13 years, 3 years under Medell McKenzie's supervision. Monday, its doors were shut on little notice from the Veterans Affairs Office, leaving 6 residents to be relocated.
They decide to close this location and move the veterans somewhere else because of the cost. But I explained to them with the cost of inflation, the food, the light, the episodes that some of the veterans have when they damage or destroy things in the home that have to be replaced.
McKenzie received notice of the closure Friday. Residents were told to be packed up and ready to go Monday morning. James McCoy served 3 years in the Navy after the Vietnam War. He has been living at Safe Landing for 3 months. Before that, he was living in the group home Mission Atlanta. Here's his reaction to learning of the closure.
I was horrified. I've been listening. Not really saying much. I like this house. I think it's safe. I wasn't safe where I was at in Atlanta.
All 6 residents loaded up into this van, not knowing where their destination would be.
And you have no idea where you're going next?
No idea. They won't tell me.
In addition to the 6 residents who were relocated, 6 staff members are also now without jobs. Now, what I have learned is that all 6 of those residents and homeless veterans have been relocated to the Stewart Community Home in Columbus. Now, that facility is an adult care facility for those with mental and physical disabilities. Now, this morning, less than an hour ago, I spoke with Mr. Prisco Lee. He served as an Army medic from 1993 to 1996 and also served 1 tour over in Kuwait. Now, he was telling me of this entire process, and he explained that his case manager with the Veterans Affairs Office spoke to him this morning and said that there is an opportunity for all 6 residents to be relocated once again.